user. Hello everyone, welcome to Business Planning, how to create your business model canvas. So this session is with me, Erica, and Joe. So some of you have met me before. I am a for purpose and social entrepreneur, which means all of my projects, whilst generating income and revenue, therefore being able to grow, also have a purpose behind them, whether that's helping unemployed people back into work or creating a new financial app that helps people save and generate money in new and different ways who may not have been able to do before, or something else to do with the climate change or sustainability. If there's a purpose behind it that aligns to my values and you can make a viable business proposition, then that's something for me. So that's me. Over to you, Joe.
Hi guys, my name is Joe. I am a senior learning and development specialist, which basically just means that I put together little workshops such like this one, and I delivered them to various different audiences, from adults all the way down to people like yourselves, which is what I'm really excited to be involved with this project.
Thank you, Joe. So in this session, you'll learn about two things. First of all, you'll learn how to create powerful value proposition statements for your idea in one sentence. And number two, you'll learn how to communicate your idea as a business solution in one page. So one sentence and one page, all in 60 minutes. So we are going to skip these slides for those who are not attending the live session today and go straight into the value proposition. So a value proposition statement is a succinct explanation of both the function and the benefit of your product or service for the users. These are stakeholders, customers, people using your product or service or paying for it. It's also a description of how you solve a problem for your users, your customers, your stakeholders, and why they should choose you over competitions or alternatives. For us, it's about thinking, how does your proposition give value for all the people that are going to use what you're doing, your solution, your idea? And when you create this simple sentence to describe your solution, you need to think about a couple of things. Number one, the problem or problems you are solving. Number two, the benefits of your solution. And number three, who benefits from your solution? Who does the benefit serve? So there's a bit of a hint here. When you create these statements, you may need more than one, especially if you're thinking about purpose and profit solutions. The reason being, the person paying for your solution may not always be the person using it, also known as the end user. So we're going to think about a few today. Over to you, Joe.
So we've got a few examples here of organizations that have actually used value proposition statements in the past. We're going to unpick one of these now as a group, as a collective, and then we'll give you guys an opportunity to explore how you can create your own. So the one that we're going to have a look at is Keep It School Cups. Now, with their solution, there are various stakeholders that are involved. So we've broken down the value proposition statements to tailor it to the individual stakeholders it's related to. For example, stakeholder one, the local authorities and schools. Our Keep It School Cup helps local authorities and schools who care about minimizing plastic waste by eliminating single plastic cup usages and providing personalized and highly durable metal cups in schools, unlike plastic and paper cups or glass cup alternatives. So that's the first stakeholder. And you can see now with this value proposition statement, it's very short, it's succinct, as Erica mentioned earlier, and it's very clear about the benefit, the problem that they're solving and who they're solving it for. If we could go to the next slide. Let's have a look at the second stakeholder, young people. Our Keep It School Cup helps young people who care about minimizing plastic waste, but also have a great deal of things to remember to bring to school each day by eliminating the need to remember to bring their own drinking container each day and providing personalized and highly durable metal cups in schools for each young person, unlike the plastic cup or glass cup alternatives. So you'll notice there that it's still the same business, it's still the same value, still the same solution that they've created or service, but there's different values for different stakeholders. And that's what creating your value propositions is all about, being able to identify who who your proposition is for, what problem you're solving, and the benefits that you are creating from that.
And Joe, in the two stakeholders that you shared,
Yeah.
which stakeholder will actually pay for the Keep Cup?
So it would probably it would be the local authorities and the schools that would be paying for it. So like you mentioned earlier on, you've got stakeholders that are that might pay for it, but they may not necessarily be the end users. So even though the local authorities and the schools are paying for these cups, they themselves might not actually be using the cups. So they still are very much involved in the overall process, but it's the kids and the young people that will be using the cups on a day-to-day basis. So they benefit from it in different ways.
Yeah, and the young people are the end users.
Yep.
Right, thank you. So we've got an activity for you now. Your activity is to grab a piece of paper, write down a value proposition from one or more of the stakeholders from the examples we have shown. Don't worry. First of all, we're going to put the slide up to remind you of the examples and a template to write a value proposition. And remember, this is a draft version. You can practice, practice, practice. The best thing to do is get something down on paper. I've now put the slide up. What I'd like you to do is pause the video and set your timer for 5 minutes and have a go at completing a value proposition for one of these ideas. Off you go. See you in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you had a good opportunity to have a go at one of those value propositions. Whilst you were gone, we magically have one of our own, or rather, Joe does. This is for Joe's real business idea, and this is a value proposition that he created a day before we ran these sessions with everybody. So Joe, would you like to share your value proposition statement?
Be my pleasure. So we've got YouSpeak, which is my business, and our YouSpeak app and coaches help people from disadvantaged backgrounds who want to gain paid employment by improving their success in interviews and communication skills through anytime, anywhere access to one-to-one coaching and interview practice, unlike current face-to-face programs and employability programs. So yes, that's pretty much my idea put down into one statement. Now, I know that there is a few stakeholders that are involved in our statement, which we'll flesh out a little bit later on, but this one right now is focusing on the people who are from disadvantaged backgrounds.
And in our examples, the people from disadvantaged backgrounds, what type of stakeholder are
they? So they would be the end users.
Yeah.
So those would be the people that are involved.
And if you wrote another value proposition statement, who might be a stakeholder who would pay or give access to the proposition, to the app?
Yeah. So because my proposition is a profit for purpose organization, it would be funded via two ways, again, which we'll unpack a little bit later, but we might get the local authorities to help fund us. And if not the local authorities, the other way that we was thinking is to offer the same training at a price for corporate clients who have their own corporate for social responsibilities, who want to give back to their communities. So they might, those two may be other stakeholders that will value or benefit from it.
Great, thank you. So to wrap up, as Joe has done, he's thought about the problems that he's going to solve, the benefits of those solutions it provides for the different stakeholders, and who those different stakeholders for. And as the hint says, he's thought about the fact that his end user, in this case, is not necessarily the person that's going to pay for the solution. So we have another activity for you now. We'd like you to write a value proposition for one of your stakeholders for your idea. You're going to do this in paper and pen. You're not going to use Mural, which is a tool we used in the live session. We're going to share the template for you again so you can see how to create a value proposition statement. And our tip again is this is a draft version, and you'll share this draft version with your team, and as a team you'll iterate on your value propositions together to refine them and get a better version, and then get feedback on that version and probably get another better version and do that again and again. That's what iteration is. It's gathering feedback and it's creating a better version or improved version or a different version than the last. So, here you go. Here is the template with some hints in the pink of how to complete your template, your value proposition for your idea. What we would like you to do is stop this video for 5 minutes and have a go at writing your value proposition statement. So if you stop your video now, and we'll see you on the other side. Okay, welcome back everyone. So Joe, you had a good go at writing your value proposition statement. Could you wrap up the task for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got down 6 steps here to kind of work on it. You have to remember that even though you've spent a short while working on your value proposition statement, that is your first iteration. It's your first version, and it's going to be something that you will continuously work on and improve. But number 1, clarify your mission and purpose. Who are you? What are you trying to do? What problem are you trying to solve? Make sure, number 2, you look at the competitors and the alternatives that are currently in existence. Find out who they are if you don't know who they are, because you might be able to either strike up a partnership, but also understand that who else are the players in the game that you're involved in. Number 3, establish why you are different to your competitors. So it goes back to number 2, making sure you understand who your competitors are will help you establish why you are actually different to them. So you can't do one without the other. Number 4, know your stakeholders, make your VP for them, make your value proposition for them. Remember that you could have a number of different value proposition statements to suit the stakeholders that you are targeting it to, but it's important that you do try to separate it out. Otherwise, your statement could be very broad and not really hit the mark for people to actually see and understand what you're trying to do for them. Number 5, mind map all the benefits of your solution. Do it individually for the stakeholders, and overall get it all down on a piece of paper. What are all the benefits? It's really important that you get that down, because you might identify more benefits after putting it down on paper than you thought was originally there. And number 6, create a first version and keep on iterating on it. As I said at the beginning of this wrap up, make sure that you understand that it is an evolving document. It is an evolving statement. It's not just, this is my value proposition and that's that, it's stuck. It's something that you will continuously work on and improve time and time again.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, so that's part 1 done. Creating a 1-sentence way to describe your solution and the value it provides for the stakeholders you're providing that solution for. So we're moving on to part 2, the startup canvas. The startup canvas helps you create a 1-page business plan. It allows you to consider and sketch out all the key components of your business model, and it's a really good starting block to build out further insight, gather information and data that you need to make your business model viable. And by viable, we mean something that generates money and delivers a solution to your stakeholders. Over to you, Joe.
Brilliant. So we've skipped number 2 because number 2 is boring and we wanted to throw you off here. But the startup canvas, the benefits are, number 1, it's fast. You can sketch your first canvas in as little as 30 minutes. Number 3, because as I said, number 2 is boring. The format forces you to distill your idea and solution. And number 4, effective. It's an easier format to share and use to communicate your idea to stakeholders and investors. Typically, business plans and and proposals tend to be really large documents and filled with numbers and statistics and so much information that when you actually present those to stakeholders, it can be quite overwhelming at times. And their chances are they don't reading it and they don't understand it the way that you understand it. So if you're able to clearly articulate something that's as thick as this on one page, that's fantastic.
What type of ways, off the top of your head, Joe, can you use the Startup Canvas with other people? What ways? When would you use it? In what situation?
So I would either use it when I'm starting a new business, creating a new idea, or if I am trying to assess my business already. If my business already exists, I'll try and see if I can spot or identify any blind spots that I may have in some of the different areas. And yeah, those are the two kind of main ways that I would typically use it. So use it if I'm starting fresh, I haven't got any idea, and I'll work through each step. Or again, if I already currently exist, and I'll use it as a way to kind of assess where I am or what I think I am, and understand myself and if I am in line with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So you will have seen the Startup Business Model Canvas before. It's been shared in the resources. Here it is again. And there's an order in which to complete it, starting from 0 and ending in 8. And you move around the canvas, filling in the squares in that order. So starting with your solution, what is it that you are, what is your solution to your problem? A really good way of doing this is to say what it is and then give the 3 key features of that solution. Number 2 is the problem you're trying to solve. This could be more than one problem. It could be up to 3 top problems you're solving. Here you can also put any existing alternatives, your competitors or other ways of doing it. Customer segment. This is, again, we've just talked about this. These are the people that are using it and the people that are buying it. So it's really good to put your different stakeholders in this, also known as customer segments. Then you've got the value proposition. You've already had a go at doing your value proposition, so you've got something to put in this box immediately. Then we move on to market. This is how you market, how you tell people about what you're doing and how they know. And this is not that, in fact, that's channels. The market is the market you're entering and the type and size of that market. For example, this could be, I am going to work on selling a product to mums of under 1-year-olds in the UK. So therefore, the size of my market requires some research, and that research will be the number of births typically each year in the UK, where there's maybe clusters of lots of young children in cities, for example, and things like that, and how I might segment that market into different locations, etc., etc. So that's just size, the detail of your market you're entering, and the size of that market, and also other people operating in that market. Then you are going to look at, actually, how do I know if my business model is any good? How am I going to measure success and performance? Is it sales? Is it downloads of an app? Is it feedback from customers? What is it? And then it's onto channels. This is how you reach your customers, you reach your stakeholders. You would have done some of this in some of your other sessions this week, your brand and marketing sessions. How am I going to advertise? How do people find out about me? Do I advertise? Do I have a community? All those kind of things. Then there's how are you going to make money? How are you going to do direct sales? Is somebody else going to invest in your product? Is it going to be funded by governments, for example? And then last but not least, what are the external risks that you might want to consider? For example, right now, an external risk to a lot of businesses is COVID-19 and the fact they cannot operate. So that's a really good example of an obvious external risks, but there might be some other external risks for you. So we've given you a whirlwind tour of the different sections of a startup business model canvas, and we've told you the order in which to try and complete it. We're now going to look at one that Joe's completed for his business idea. So let's look at Joe's. I'm going to make this very big so we can see it very clearly. So Joe, I know this is This is one that you did earlier.
Yeah.
Also, before we did these sessions.
Yeah.
I'd love you to talk us through it, starting with, again, outlining your solution that you're providing to a problem.
So yeah, I put down USpeak app is teaching all around storytelling is the main kind of narrative, and giving live access to our coaches, and just basically free accessible learning for people who are trying to get paid employment in influential positions. Where would you like me to go from there?
So you've given me the solution. I'd like to know a little bit more about the problem that the solution's solving. So maybe
Yeah.
a bit about the problem and any existing alternatives at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the problem that I identified is, just there's not really um, enough support for the rehabilitation of newly released inmates, and I don't feel like there's enough diversity and inclusion in the workplace, particularly with people from underprivileged backgrounds as well. And I think I put that down as two of the main problems that I identified, because I feel like this is something that needs to be solved. This needs to be tackled. Why isn't there a bridge to try and get those people in those positions? Because I know for a fact that they have brilliant minds as well into the workplace, and impacts that space as well. And the other thing was combating glossophobia, which is the fear or anxiety of public speaking, which is why I said storytelling is the main kind of focus, because a lot of people in general have confidence issues when it comes to public speaking. And I know the people in the demographics I'm trying to support, that's an even bigger issue, because some of them have already had setbacks. So they're dealing with a lot of insecurities. So trying to help them solve that and overcome that would hopefully support them when they do go into the working world.
Thank you. Yeah, really. I've got a question here.
Yep.
First of all, feedback on the problem. I really like the way you brought that to life, and how, to me as a listener, empathize and understand the challenges that some of the people you're solving the problem for have. So that was really, really great. That made me think about your solution. So your solution, I didn't really get what it would do. So I get like the ethos of it, the storytelling.
Yeah.
So when you iterate this, I'd really love it if you said, this is the solution. It is this, an app, and it is this, access to a coach. A bit like it says in your value proposition, but really make it clear. This is the solution, and then go, and the 3 key features are, and then maybe something around the storytelling, because I love that as well. So make that really clear. So imagine you'd sent this to somebody and they couldn't ask you questions like I'm asking you. They'd get, oh, right, I could download that app and have a look at it now.
Yeah.
Type thing. And you've shared what your target audience is. I think I might like to know a little bit more, and the value proposition you shared, I get that. I'd really like to know a little bit more about how you think you'll make money, or how this will become a viable business that could sustain you and other employees.
Okay, cool. So I kind of directed to the revenue models, which I've identified. So there's 2 kind of ways that we're going to be making money to kind of support what we're trying to do. So I've put down Job Center. So, hopefully we can get funding via government funding to kind of support what we're doing, because it's going to be benefiting the community as well. But also a 1-for-1 model by selling this proposition to corporates. They'll essentially be funding, free training and coaching to any of the people that I'm trying to kind of solve the problems for. So again, like I said, the newly released inmates or people who are from underprivileged or underrepresented backgrounds, they would get that training for free. So it's almost like a 1-for-1 model. So the business will pay for it, pay for these workshops, and I'll deliver it for them so that they can see what it's like and they can use it as well, because I'm sure that they'll have members of their teams who would want to improve their leadership skills, their storytelling skills, and everything like that. And I would use that money to fund the sessions, allowing me to offer it for free to those people that I'm trying to reach out to.
Yeah, so you've got another value proposition statement that you could write there, couldn't you? That the value that it is for businesses and corporate organisations to not only upskill their own employees and give their employees good storytelling and communication skills, and a way of improving that with your app and your coach, which they could buy for their employees as part of their training. But they know when they're buying that, they're actually buying the opportunity for somebody else to do it for free, so they feel good about their business and they're putting their profits into something that's good as well, that might also end up being employees for them in the future, because as these people become skilled up, they may apply for jobs with them. Yes, I really like that idea of your revenue model. Also tell me, how are you going to know if your idea is any good, if it's working? What are your key performance indicators?
So there's quite a few, and I think I probably need to flesh out this a little bit more, but I've put some measurements there, some key performance indicators that will help me identify if I'm on the right track. So things like NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, or Trainer Quality Index, or surveys, and number of downloads, how many people are getting jobs after they've interacted or engaged with the app. And yeah, so those are the sort of things that will kind of help me understand if I am in line with what I set out to do.
Yeah, that's really good. My feedback probably on that area for you, for your next iteration, is people that aren't involved in training companies wouldn't know what NPS stands for. And then even if they did, they wouldn't really know what that is. So I would try and find a better way to say that for anybody to understand, like maybe feedback surveys from customers and things like that. Really, like number of downloads, that makes complete sense. Like how many people have actually got this on this phone, and then how many people are getting jobs. Public relation, who's talking about what you're doing, that's interesting. Is it in the papers? Are people sharing it? Really like that. I wanted to ask you as well, doing it for the first time, it's always challenging. And actually the advice to anybody when doing this for the first time is only spend 30 to 60 minutes max the first time, just so that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself to make everything perfect, because the idea is to get it down, get it out of your head, get it in place, and then share it with other people like we are now. But also, as you mentioned earlier, it will highlight parts of your business strategy or your business plan that you need to look at a little bit more deeply. So that in mind, when you did this first time, what were some of the challenges that you faced doing this business?
I think probably the biggest challenge was the market, because I'm pretty set on what it was that I want to do and how I want to achieve it. The other ones, I wouldn't say they were easy, but they were easier to fill out and understand. But when it got to the market, I kind of felt a bit challenged to understand a little bit more about what's happening out there in our industry, and how many other organizations are offering what I'm offering, other charities, whatever it may be. And it just kind of forced me to reflect a little bit more and do a bit more research so that I could understand it a little bit better. But I think that was probably the most challenging part, because the others, I knew I had all of that information, but the market kind of pushed me to go outwards and start understanding a little bit more about the market itself that I'm getting into.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I think the first time I filled in a value proposition statement, I found it challenging, thinking about success measures, like really, how will I know if this is any good? And then I realized actually that was some of the most important things I needed to have in this, because if I was going to share it to somebody that might give me some money, like a grant or something like that, or an investor, the things they're going to care about is it going to work? How are you going to measure if it's going to work? And if it's not working, how will you get it working? So that really made me realize I had to go down that route of understanding how am I going to make sure this is a good idea, and how I'm going to measure the success of what I'm doing. Also doing the channels, how am I going to reach my customers and users? That was really useful, because it made me start thinking about other ways I could do it, because I started thinking, oh yeah, I'll do an Instagram account and things like that. Then I realized actually maybe there's a far better way of doing it. Maybe there's word of mouth. Maybe I can find some people and tell them about my idea, and they will go and talk to other people. So that really helped me as well. So what we'd love you to do now is do another activity yourself. we're only going to ask you to take 5 minutes again, and we're going to ask you to start to draft your first version of your canvas. We're suggesting you start with no more than areas 1 to 3. As we said, use the numbered template to give you the order to complete that canvas. We'll share that again. Remember, it's a draft version. You're going to share this with your team and you're going to iterate again and again and again. You will only complete 1 or 2 draft sections in the time available now, if at all. So don't worry about that. I'm going to put the template up again. I'd like you to now pause the video and spend 5 minutes just doing some rough sketching or post-it notes around the sections in here. As we've said, we'd love you to start with the order and do 0, 1, 2, or 3 and wherever you get to in the 5 minutes. Welcome back. Okay, so Joe, you've had a go this week. Give us your running order and filling in for your first business startup canvas top tips.
Yeah, absolutely. Always start with the solution and add in your customer segment. Then remember to write down the problem that you're solving. Add your value proposition statement that you already did beforehand. Add the details of the market you are entering, but remember to do the research on that market as well. Number 5, list the key ways in which you will measure success. How are you going to know if you're doing the right thing? How do you know it's been successful? 6, list the ways you will reach your customers. And 7, finish off with adding how you will make money and if there are any risks associated.
Thank you. And what's your key takeaways for the session?
Key takeaways are always start with your value proposition statement. Spend 30 to 60 minutes on your first startup canvas. And 3, relentlessly seek feedback. Feedback is a gift. And there's no such thing as bad feedback. Just take it on. Whether you action it, it's entirely up to you, but it's really important for you to know what's being said. Reframe risk through iteration. Again, just keep on working on it, keep on improving upon it, and fall in love with the problem, not your solution. Don't be married to your idea, guys. Don't worry about it. It's okay if it evolves, providing that your solution hits the mark of what you're trying to do.
Thank you, Joe. That's all from us today. You've got the resources on the website to download. We suggest you print them out if you've got a printer. If you haven't, look at them on screen and maybe draw them out on a bit of paper, do the different sections, and just keep iterating, repeating the process, getting another version, and keep going. Any tips for you, Joe?
No, just stay consistent. Stay consistent. If you're going to start this, be consistent with it. Push yourself. Use a growth mindset to keep you going, because it won't be easy, but it's definitely possible. And everything that you guys are doing to try and solve these issues should tell you that already. You're great and you're in good hands, I'm sure.
Yeah. And with everything we've done today, feeds directly into the workbooks you're completing. And you will notice that sections from the business model canvas cover everything from the rest of the week this week around product development, marketing and advertising, all those different things. So what we recommend is have a go at your business model canvas as a sketching process before you fill in your work plan. And good luck with the rest of the competition.
Take care, guys.